rephrase your question again. What's the second part of your question?
The second part is, what type of therapy will we expect when we sit down with a therapist?
Expect us on therapy who's culturally competent first and foremost. And that comes with being engaged in the process. You're not there just for the therapist to ask you questions. You ask the therapist questions. Understand who that therapist is as an individual. Understand who that therapist is, what is their background. You have the right to engage in that process. And if you don't like what you hear, then you have the right to walk out the door. I think it's fair to expect a therapy who has a great level of empathy and sympathy, a great level of understanding. A therapist who's an active listener, who's really paying attention to the fine details of your story. And so I think those are some good characteristics of identifying a good therapeutic relationship.
Okay, so when you enter therapy, if I enter therapy, is it me opening up with some of my issues, or being comfortable opening up with some of my issues, and is the therapist providing feedback or suggestions, or just what is that process like?
Well, I think when you enter into the office, I know there's going to be some anxiety. That's normal. But you have to just build a relationship, and that just comes with rapport building from the onset. I don't think it's fair for me to do some type of psychosocial assessment within 1 hour of the first hour. You don't trust me. You don't know me within that first hour. So I think it may take 3, 4, 5 sessions in order, for you to just chisel down that wall, to even be ready to open up, with your story. And so I think transparency is vitally important. A lot of people come into the therapist's office and they want to give bits and pieces, but I think context is important. But that comes with building that trust relationship.
All right, last question. I'll let you get out of here. Some of these people that you encounter may come from backgrounds of criminality. When you're speaking with the therapist, is someone safe to admit or
not incriminate themselves?
Yeah, I mean, if you're sitting down with a therapist and you've been through some issues, right? Is it safe to tell a therapist some of the experiences that you've been through if they're criminal?
Man, brother, you put me on the spot. Man, that's a very, very sensitive question.
Okay.
And the only advice, that I would give is to be transparent with the understanding that as a licensed clinician, we do have certain legal and ethical responsibilities. Okay. For an example, if there's physical or homicidal ideation, suicidal ideation, ethically and legally, we cannot keep that a secret.
Right.
What about patient-client privileges?
But when it's
I'm just
So, those are just two examples to where our therapists, we are legally and ethically obligated to make some type of report.
Okay.
All right. So before y'all guys leave, go on and speak on the event that you have coming up.
Man, this event just came up overnight, and I'm like, man, we need a platform for men to open up. We need a platform for men to feel comfortable in a safe space. We need an event that's going to address this need for the community. And so, of course, I reached out to Trinidad. I reached out to Charles Booker Jr., Dr. Nipley at Spalding University, and I think this is going to be a phenomenal event. Aubrey Williams, who was a fantastic. He's a violence, not advocate, but he's out here, non-violence advocate. It's a phenomenal panel, and I'm truly blessed that each one of them agreed to sit on this panel. They each have their own set experience. They each have a specialty that they're going to bring to the discussion. And I think it's an opportunity for men, teenagers. And actually, I work for JCBS also. I'm a licensed practitioner with the school system. I'm going to be bringing some young men from my school to attend and to engage other black men.
When is this?
It's Monday, the 21st, at Little Flock Missionary Baptist Church from 6 to 8 p.m. Okay. We're going to be feeding. That's free. We're going to be providing child care for the men. It's free. So no excuses, child care. We're going to feed your children, and come out and be ready to engage in a very needed, deep conversation.
So that's this Monday, 6 to 8 p.m.
Yes.
Little Flock Baptist Church?
And yes, and if I can just say this is our first event under the Minority Mental Health Project. And we're not an agency that's focused on men. We're looking to address the gaps in the research. Just this event just so happened to be for men.
Okay. All right, before you get out of here, Mr. Jackson,
Yes,
you
sir.
brought up an interesting point, and I want you to kind of address it before you get out of here. I think we play around with that word crazy a lot, right? Or maybe we don't even understand what it means, right? So a lot of us may say, oh, she's crazy, or he's crazy, or whatever, right?
Everybody got
And-
a crazy uncle.
right.
All
And
that.
actually, this is manifested trauma.
Right.
So kind of go into detail about that a little. Because I think when you throw that out there, it doesn't leave the ability for help. People just kind of hear crazy and write that person off. You've been a crazy uncle. You just, when I see him, but there's no sense of I want to help this person. So, essentially, these people are people that have experienced some sort of trauma, and that affects how they interact with others, right? So, what do you have to say about that? Just that particular phrase and how we treat each other.
Just, that this is normalized yet damaging language. Because when as we're discussing some of the symptoms of what quote unquote crazy looks like, again, that's manifested trauma. So, we've spent 30 minutes talking about, from a systems perspective, how systems aren't built for us, and meaning that when we attempt to engage in any type of, whether it's healthcare treatment or anything else, the outcomes, are likely to be minimal. And so if I am a person who is suffering from some sort of illness and I can't get the sufficient care that I need from said system, then what does that leave me? That leaves me suffering with these systems as I am out here navigating the world, from day to day. And so if I gotta navigate with my colleagues, with my friends, with my family, with unaddressed issues, and my symptoms are essentially bleeding all over the place, well, people will look at that and say, what's wrong with you? You crazy. And then that becomes the normalized conversation or the normalized perception of who this person is, when it's really, we're not critically looking at, why this person can't get well or be well as a person, as a human. So yeah, it's for me, it definitely, like, a critical piece of that is the language and us looking at how we use language, because that's a big part of the picture when we talk about healing and reconciliation.
Well, from a clinical point, what Trinidad is speaking of is the self-fulfilling prophecy, and that's not even a clinical term. But the self-fulfilling prophecy, hearing, you're crazy, it becomes normalized. So what happens is we start to act out those beliefs.
Right.
Those individuals start to define us. You're crazy. So subconsciously, okay, so you think I'm crazy, I'm going to act like I'm crazy. And so I think that language is powerful, and I'm glad you brought that point up. And I think even as parents, how we project that language down to our kids, as they go through life stages. And, that definitely can have an impact on each stage of life, with this, with that type of language. So it's something that needs to be incorporated in our parenting skills in terms of changing that narrative.
Well, see, it also go ahead.
I was about to say, some of the other words that are relevant to the conversation, because you just brought up parents. So in addition to the word crazy, when we say that they are bad, or when we say that they're soft, right? We tell little boys they're soft, then what internally, what does that mean for them? Oh, I gotta act hard.
Right.
And that gets back into some of the gender roles that are damaging to our communities and to our women.
Right.
So
at the end of the day, I think it also prevents someone seeking treatment. Because when I've heard someone, oh, he's crazy or whatever, right? I just wrote it off as genetically that person may have been born in this condition. So I don't and ultimately we all probably suffered, or we all probably had the same experiences. His experiences just happened to push him into a different space. But because I'm not in that space, I'm thinking, well, there's just something wrong with him, so I don't need help for the issues I'm going through because something genetically is wrong with this person and not me. So I guess we understand that all of us may not have the same results from the same experiences, but the experience itself may require mental health.
Right.
All right, man, I'm going to let y'all get out of here, man. October 21st, Little Flock Baptist Church, 6 to 8 p.m. Where is Little Flock located?
Off of Hancock Street. I believe it's 11.
East End, though,
I
right?
think 1136, ain't it?
Yeah, it's 1130 South Hancock.
1130 South Hancock?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, so-
church is that? No.
1130 South Hancock, man. Appreciate you guys for being a guest today, man. I'll reach out to you before Monday and see can we put some more information about this event. Nice meeting you, Mr. Jackson.
Likewise.
James.
You gotta quit saying that, man. 'Cause you gotta be saying that. We have another guest coming in the building, man. But we'll reach out to you guys, man, and thank you for putting the focus on mental health because I wasn't aware. You say less than 4% of
African American males.
African American males are therapists.
Correct.
It's interesting, especially being that what's our population now? 13-14% in the U.S.
I think it's around
14, 15 as far as African
Before
Americans.
y'all leave, we're going to take his picture. So, you know what I'm saying? We're going to go over to the big board, take his pictures, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Brad, get the
Picture. Oh, hold on. Hold on, let me put my glasses on.
Hold on. This is the only time y'all will see these glasses come out.
Yeah, we ready.
I'm gonna do one more time.
Sure.